Well, Manchester United have had probably one of the toughest brackets in the FA Cup so far. They've been all Premier League sides in this competition, the latest being now Leicester City. And we are running out of smaller league teams, as it were. I think only 2 of the top 5 remain in this competition. I didn't really get to look at the tree, unfortunately, but one of the matches that's actually going on alongside this one is Arsenal's game with West Ham. Speaking of which, Alexis Sanchez, always the big game appearance from him, and it's probably going to be no different today. Probably, I think he's most likely an FA Cup winner, of course. He may have won it twice under Arsene Wenger. I do believe he was at Arsenal those years, but they did win it, so he knows how to win this competition. Joel Pereira starts in goal, adding more fuel to the fire about David De Gea after conceding his one goal against Manchester City. Tronzebi is for Smalling and Bailly in the mid-defensive 3. It's Callum Griffin with Hamilton, Fred, Pereira and Sanchez. Front 2, Alexander Isak and Danny Williams in an interesting partnership today. No surprise for who starts in goal for Leicester City. That's of course Kasper Schmeichel with Danny Simpson and Johnny Evans, former Manchester United players if I remember rightly. Popovich and D'Ambrosio are the rest of the defence. Grezels with Ibra, Ndidi and Spinoza. Maddison plays behind Kelechi in Iheanacho, former Manchester City striker. And Pereira deals with it. Pereira will find Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez is fouled in the box. The referee has given the penalty. And he could be booking the player as well. And it's a red card. It's a sending off for Filip Bekovic. And a penalty to Manchester United. Well, he doesn't get the ball. He absolutely takes out Sanchez. No debates about that. Last man, red card. And Danny Williams could add more misery to Leicester City's day here. It's really big pressure for a young man of his age. Here he comes. And he's belted it. Danny Williams, the young man, absolutely cool as a cucumber, up against Kasper Schmeichel. Son of the legendary Peter Schmeichel. It's no easy task, but Danny Williams coolly slotting it past him. Schmeichel doesn't even move there. Danny Williams with venom in that right foot. It's almost like he's been taking the Aaron Henwood lessons of taking a penalty. And he belted that in the corner. Absolutely no chance. And Danny Williams loved it. He even took a dive into the grass. And 21-minute goal penalty for Danny Williams. And that is pretty much opened the door now for Manchester United. We all know that they've been missing the likes of Marcus Rashford and Timothy Mensah, but still they managed to pull out results. And this could be another one of those today. United 1, Leicester 0. And Leicester now have it all to do, and of all with their own doing. Absolutely just not with it in a Manchester United shirt at the moment. Well, Leicester City, the masters of their own downfall after Bekovic was sent off for a foul on Alexis Sanchez. It was a clear penalty. Danny Williams, cool as you like, with the strike. And it puts Manchester United 1 up here. But the game is livened up a little bit. That's Leicester becoming within inches with the free kick off the bar. Manchester United lead, but a goal to 0. Leicester, despite the mountain they have to climb, they're not out of this yet. Put away by Bailly. Tremendous header. Manchester United through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And deservedly so, because they continue to scrap and they continue to get points, wins and cup victories that you think since the loss of Marcus Rashford they wouldn't earn. But Gregg Popovich's team is definitely the talk of the town, and just maybe Gregg Popovich will find redemption in the FA Cup final in a few months' time. He's got to navigate one more team before he gets there, but right now he's looking like he means business to redeem himself. Manchester United 1, Leicester City 0. So let's have a look at all the other results for the quarterfinals and see what that means for the semi-final draw. Everton beating Cardiff by a goal to 0 as their magical cup run, despite their miserable season, has come to an end, with Everton beating them once again. They beat them most recently in the league as well. Manchester United obviously beating Leicester by a goal to those. We've just seen West Ham losing 2-0 to Arsenal in the end. And if Unai Emery is just 2 games away from his first final in England, and considering his inconsistent league form, you have to wonder he will certainly take it. Wolves 0, Southampton 2, meaning for the semi-final draws, they look like this. Southampton will take on Manchester United, and Everton will take on the red-hot cup form team Arsenal. And sticking with Manchester United and cup competitions, we've just had the draw for the UEFA Champions League quarter-finals, and one of the marquee matchups, if you can believe it, is Manchester United versus Bayern Munich. Now this is very interesting because in the pre-season, in the American Challenge Cup specifically, these two faced off twice. In the first match, which was the last match of the group stages of the competition, Bayern Munich won that game by 4-2, I believe. While in the final, these two met up again. It was 0-0 after regulation, and Bayern Munich progressed on penalties. The stakes are much, much higher. This is the Champions League, and two of Europe's elite are going toe-to-toe. And Gregg Popovich, you have to feel, and we've said this a lot this season, he has a score to settle. This title run is not getting any easier for Gregg Popovich's team, and he's come up against Unai Emery again. Last time these two met, Arsenal won by 2-1. What will happen in this one? We'll find out live next. Well, it has been quite the period for Gregg Popovich's Manchester United side, and this title running has heated up. We're in the final 2 games of this rather busy period. I do believe United take on Watford next, and then it'll be a bit of an international break, something that Gregg Popovich desperately needs for his squad. It has been well documented that the fatigue is really setting into the squad now. It's been almost game after game, it feels like. This is one of the toughest periods in the season for that. But still, Gregg Popovich's team continue to plug away, continue to earn the points, and continue to stay in touch at the top. They are at the top by mantra of goal difference ahead of Chelsea, who they still have to face for a second time later in the season, I believe. Bernardo starts in goal for Unai Emery with Florenzi, Koscielny, Mustafi and Kolasinac in the defence today. Torreira is with Aaron Ramsey. Obviously he's Juventus bound at the end of the season. Ozil's with Mkhitaryan and Sessegnon, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang starts up top as usual. Interesting starting goal once again for Joel Pereira, who is David De Gea is on the bench again. Phil Jones is with Rojo and Maguire. Lingard, Pogba, Gomez, Herrera and Zaha are in the midfield. Alex Hunter up top with Anthony Martial. Lingard. Is Alex Hunter going to get there? Yes, he is. He's going to pull it back towards and goal for, I think it's Jesse Lingard, and if it is, that's no surprise. He's been Arsenal's decimator, and it certainly is Jesse Lingard. An early goal for United then. And once again, it's Jesse Lingard. Beautiful play here from United early on, and Hunter pulling it back towards Lingard, and no one was back to stop him. And Jesse Lingard has been Arsenal's Achilles heel for many a year now, and it's proven the case again today. No one was closing him down quick enough, and Arsenal's problem with conceding clean sheets continues, and Gregg Popovich continues to plug away at this league table. If he wins it, he has earned it, that's for sure. Jesse Lingard scores against Arsenal again. I believe that's his first goal of the league this season. I didn't really catch it, but in any case, United lead by a goal to 0, and we haven't even played 10 minutes yet. Manchester United corner coming up with Pogba. And headed in, and another goal already. And who's that? Is that Lingard again? I think it might be Marcus Rojo. It certainly is. And Manchester United, within 2 minutes, are 2 goals up. Well, Pogba hasn't been the best at corners this season, but that was perfect. Right into the path of Rojo, and what is with the Arsenal defending? Absolutely nowhere near him. Allowing him to get in front of the 2 there. And he rose the tallest and headed it into the back of the net. Leno once again struggling, as was... really see who that was. I think it might have been Klasenich. But Marcus Rojo for a rare goal. I do believe he scored one earlier in the season. He certainly did, as that's his second of the season. And Arsenal have been shell-shocked and down by 2-0 in just 2 minutes. And another goal coming in. It's Bournemouth and they've equalised. Ben Yedder has scored for Bournemouth, and Arsenal almost scored there with I think it was Aubameyang with a header. He's hit the bar. Hunter, Martial, nice pocket of space. Hunter's telepathic, 3-0. And Manchester United are absolutely on it. They are not letting Chelsea get away. Goal from Martial, but Hunter was just telepathic in his pass. It's almost like he knew where Martial was going. Look at that. Beautiful pass from Hunter. And Martial, 1-2, bring down, bang, 3-0 to United. We're not even at the end of the first half yet. And it is another vintage Coach Popovich performance. And another vintage performance by Anthony Martial, who has been one of the blossomers under Coach Pop. Under Jose Mourinho, a lot of people feared he would be out the door, but under Coach Pop, not a chance. 3-0 to United as the first half end approaches. And Arsenal, it looks like a long way back for them at the moment, as their problems in defence continue. Well, it may be quite the shock, because we're at the end of the first half and we are already looking at a 3-0 scoreline after Alex Hunter and the rest all just dominated against Arsenal, really. Martial, Rojo and Jesse Lingard all with the goals, and all great substitutes for Marcus Rashford. It seems without him, Popovich is still able to get his team some goals. We're not even in the second half and it's already Arsenal 0, United 3. Torreira, Sousa. Sousa, who's coming to the box. He's kept the ball off the bar. And it's just not going Arsenal's way this evening, is it? That's 2 shots that have rebounded off the bar. They cannot score. They've been rather unfortunate this afternoon to a degree. And an absolute domination night for Manchester United. 3 goals in the first half. Never looked back. And another clean sheet for Joel Pereira. He just keeps getting them, doesn't he? And Gregg Popovich keeps getting the points. Arsenal have been disappointing in comparison to their first matchup, in which they took the points. Gregg Popovich has redeemed himself against Unai Emery, and we probably will expect more between these two in the near future as they learn their trade, and Gregg Popovich continues to master his. No goals in the first half, but the damage was second half, but the damage was already done. Arsenal 0, United 3. Alright, so let's take a look at all the scores from tonight and what that means for the Premier League table. We'll start at Vicarage Road with a 1-1 draw between Watford and Southampton. And that was the same result of the Merseyside derby as well. A 1-1 draw on the points shared there. A lot of points shared with the game between West Ham and Newcastle and Burnley Crystal Palace ending in 0-0 draws. But the shock was at the Fatadi Stadium, as Manchester City's reported at the beginning, taking a 1-0 lead, but Bournemouth overturned it and turned it into a 2-1 win for Eddie Howe's team. As Manchester City looked to be gaining momentum, that might have just stalled it, but they do have a game in hand over Spurs and Everton in the table. Leicester and Brighton competing to a 0-0 draw. So Manchester United back at the top on virtue of points, but Chelsea do have the game in hand. Spurs and Everton lose the game over Manchester City in hand as well, but they're the ones that got the points today, as opposed to City losing to Bournemouth. Liverpool in 6th, Burnley in 7th, Arsenal in 8th. No real changes in the top 8. Wolves' stellar season continues in 9th, West Ham up to 10th, or actually just staying there, but I think it was status quo for them, and Leicester getting a point each. Anyway, Southampton in 12th with Brighton, Bournemouth getting a vital 3 points as their fight for survival continues against Manchester City. Palace in 15th with Watford 16th, and Huddersfield climbing out of or have been out of the relegation zone for a while, I actually believe, Newcastle and Fulham are still down there. Cardiff City on 14 points, and I'm starting to think 13 points 13 points behind Huddersfield, with still 25 or so to gain. So they're still mathematically in the league, but for Cardiff City, time is running out really, really quickly to mount a comeback.